case if you're wondering why am I here, I ask you to look at the title. Well, I'm going to start your first lesson, which is the cemetery. Cemetery means the graveyard, or the place where dead bodies are buried. Chateau d'If means castle of the island named If. This expression, Chateau d'If, is written in French. This is pronounced as chateau, which means castle or a fort. Chateau means a fort. The if means of if. Here, the story is about a man called Edmond Dantes, who was wrongfully put in prison. He was not a criminal. He did not commit a crime. He was about to become the king or the count of an island called Monte Cristo. He was about to become the king of that island called Monte Cristo, and few people were jealous of him and they wrongfully accused him of something, which is why he landed in the prison of Chateau d'If. Now, the castle is real. It still exists. It was built somewhere around 1500, and this prison is located in southern France. It is located in the Bay of Marseille. Earlier it was just a castle, and earlier it was just a fort. Later on, people started to use it as a prison. So it is an island prison. Now, the main character of the story is Edmond Dantes, who is put in this prison of Chateau d'If, the castle of the island If in southern France. Now, this is a very adventurous story because it's very challenging. We are going to see how Edmond Dantes escapes from this prison of Chateau d'If, because nobody ever was able to escape from the prison, as it is escape proof. He was the only person to escape from the prison and also survive. There was no other way to come out of the prison. The only way out was death. You can come out only when you are dead, but there was no other way of getting out of the prison. But this man does a remarkable work and comes out of the prison. Not only does he escape the prison, but also survives and takes revenge with the people who are responsible for his incarceration. All right. Now let us look at the story. Let me read it out for you. On the bed lay a sack of canvas. Under its folds was stretched a long form Faria, the cheerful companion with whom Dantes was accustomed to live so closely. Now, Dantes alone was not put in the prison. Even his companion, his friend, Faria, was put in prison. Now, Faria and Dantes, they became friends in the prison. They were put in separate chambers, but when Faria was trying to escape from the prison through a secret tunnel which he dug in the prison, he meets Dantes, and that's how they become friends. And Faria is a very true friend of Dantes. So both together, they plan to escape from that horrible place, from the prison of Chateau d'If. But unfortunately, Faria dies. Faria dies before they escape from the prison. Here in this first paragraph, the writer is talking about the dead body of Faria, which is put in the sack made of canvas cloth. Canvas is a kind of cloth which is stiff, and there are certain, it is a meshy cloth. And under that canvas, the dead body of Faria was put. Now Daintus is in the chamber of Faria. Through the secret tunnel, he actually went into the chamber of Faria, where his dead body was lying. It was put in the sack, and the sack was put on the bed. Daintus is very sad because his friend is no more. He died. Alone, he was alone again condemned to silence. If I could die, he said, I should go where he goes. Now, once again, Edmund Daintus was condemned, was punished to silence. The death of his friend seemed like more worst punishment. It seemed like a worst punishment because he was forced to be alone once again. Now, Edmund Daintus is talking to himself. He's saying that if he dies, even he would go where Faria goes, even he would be buried. But he doesn't want to do that. What does he want to do? He wants to escape from that prison, come out of that prison, and he wants to keep trying until his last breath. I will win back the happiness which has been taken away from me. Suddenly he arose, paced twice or thrice round the dungeon, and then paused abruptly by the bed. Now what happened? He thought about escaping from the prison, and he suddenly rose. He stood up from that place. He moved from the bed where his friend's body was kept, and he paced twice or thrice. He moved twice or thrice in the dungeon. Dungeon means a dark underground prison cell. So he paced around because he was tensed, he was nervous, and he wants to escape from that area. Just God, he muttered, since none but the dead pass freely from this dungeon, let me take the place of the dead. Now, what did Daintus realized? He realized that even though he wants to escape from that prison, there is no other way to escape. The only way is to be dead. Is he going to die? No. What is he going to do then? He is going to pretend as if he is dead. He is going to take the place of the dead. He is going to take the place of his dead friend. Confused? Let's read. Without giving himself time to reconsider, he bent over the appalling shroud. Appalling means horrifying. Appalling means horrifying or something which is shocking. Now it is obvious that if there is a dead body lying next to you, it is shocking and a little bit scary. So he bent over that shocking, horrifying shroud. Shroud is the cloth in which dead bodies are wrapped before they are buried. So he bent over that. He opened it with the knife which Faria has made. This Faria was very smart human being. He made all the tiny tools they would require to get out of the prison. As long as he was alive, he made different tools, and they hid those tools in certain place within the cell. So what did Daintus do? He just bent over the dead body of Faria. He took the knife which Faria made and bore the corpse along the tunnel to his own chamber, laid it on his couch once again. What did Daintus do? He took out the dead body from the sack and he secretly carried that dead body to his chamber. He was in Faria's chamber, right? He went there through a secret tunnel. Now he carried the dead body of Faria and came back to his chamber through the same tunnel. What did he do after that? He placed Faria's body on the couch in his chamber. Why did he do so? Well, to create an impression that Edmund Daintus is still in his prison. He placed the dead body on the couch and he turned the face of the dead body towards the wall, as if Daintus is sleeping. The outsider will think that, oh, Daintus is still in the prison cell. He is sleeping. Okay. Yeah. And bore the corpse along the tunnel to his own chamber, laid it on his couch once again, kissed the ice-cold brow, turned the head towards the wall. Not only did he turn Faria's dead body towards the wall, he also kissed his friend on his brow. Entered the tunnel again, returned to the other cell. He entered to the tunnel again. Who? Edmund Daintus again entered to the tunnel and he went back to Faria's chamber. And what did he do? Took from the hiding place the needle and thread, placing himself in the posture in which the dead body had been in the sack, and sewed up the sack from the inside. Now what did Daintus do? He secretly went into Faria's chamber and he took from the hiding place. I told you these people were making tools. When Faria was alive, they together made some tools. They had certain secretive tools which they hid in a secretive place within the cell. So he took a thread and needle from that secret place. He went inside the sack and he laid inside the sack like a dead body. And what did he do? He sewed the mouth of the sack. He stitched or sewed the mouth of the sack from the inside. He covered himself in the sack and he continued to pretend as if he was Faria and he is dead. Why is he doing everything? Because that is the only way of getting out of that horrible place. There is no other way to get out of that place. You have to be dead to come out of that prison. So he was pretending to be a dead body. Alright. What did he do after that? What was his plan? Let us understand what he actually thought to do. Daintus thought that in the cemetery he would allow himself to be covered with earth as it was night. The grave diggers could scarcely have turned their backs before he would have worked his way through the yielding soil and escaped. Now what was Daintus' plan? He thought that when the grave diggers would carry him to the cemetery, to the graveyard, they would dig a grave and dump his body in the grave. As it is a night time, they may not be perfect in covering the body, right? They might make some mistakes, and even though they don't make any mistakes, as it's a dark time, as it is night time, he would still make an attempt to come out of that soil. He would still come out of that yielding soil. Yielding means productive soil. Now, why did the writer say yielding soil here? It is because yielding soil is usually moist and it is easy to dig. So he thought even though the grave diggers bury him, he would still dig and come out of the grave and he would escape. That was his plan, because it was a night time and grave diggers may not really do or cover the body perfectly. If he was detected in this, or the earth proved too heavy, he would be stifled and then all would be over. Now on one side he was planning this to escape from the prison by pretending to be a dead body. On the other side he was thinking, what if the prison officials see him coming out of the grave? If they find him trying to come out or trying to escape, what will they do? They will stifle him. Stifle means what? Punish. They will punish him and everything will be over. That is why he was nervous. All right. At length, about the hour, the governor had appointed, footsteps were heard on the stairs. 2 men approaching the bed took the sack by its ends. Now what happened? About an hour or so. Now Daintus is in sack. And where is the sack? In Faria's chamber. And what everybody else thinks? What everybody else think? They think that it is Faria's body. But who is in the sack? Edmund Daintus. Why is he in the sack? Well, he's pretending to be a dead body because that's the only way out of the prison. Okay, so after an hour or so, all these thoughts were going on in Daintus' mind. He hears footsteps. He understands that 2 men were approaching him, approaching towards the bed, near the sack, near him. And what did the 2 men do? They held the sack, they carried the sack with them. Now they thought that it is a Faria's body, and they are thinking it is a dead body. They deposited the supposed corpse. It is not a corpse. To them it is a corpse, right? They are thinking it is a corpse. That is why corpse means dead body. Supposed corpse. Supposed dead body on the bier. See, this is pronounced as bier. Do not pronounce it as bier or beer. R is silent. Bier is a stand on which you keep the dead body till you carry it to the grave. You carry the body on that stand. That is bier. The party ascended the stairs. Now, party refers to the 2 men here. Now, without saying 2 men, they has just given party. The 2 men ascended the stairs. Ascended means they climbed. Ascend means to go up, to climb the stairs. Suddenly he felt fresh and sharp night air, and Daintus knew that the mistral was blowing. Now, as these 2 men, who are these 2 men? They were the grave diggers. They were the people who dig graves and bury the bodies in. So as the 2 grave diggers took Daintus up through the steps, he felt a fresh air and he realized that mistral was blowing. What is a mistral? Mistral is a term for cold wind, chilly wind, extreme cold wind, which is common in southern France. Okay. It was a sensation in which pleasure and pain were strangely mingled. It was a sensation, it was a feeling. How was Daintus feeling? He was feeling pleasure as well as pain. It was a strange combination of feelings. Why was he in pleasure? He was in pleasure because he was hoping to escape. He was thinking he would escape. That is why he was happy. And why was he sad? Because he lost his friend. That's one reason. And the second reason is that he is afraid that he might be caught in the process of escaping from the prison and everything might be over. Sorry. Give us a light, said one of the bearers, or I shall never find what I'm looking for. Now one of the two men, one of the grave diggers, shouted. What did he say? Give us the light. He wanted a light because it was a night time and everything was dark. He was looking for some object. He was searching for an object. However, before anybody could give him light, he found what he was looking for. An exclamation of satisfaction indicated that the grave digger had found the object of his search. So he got the object he was searching for. Edmund heard a heavy metallic substance laid down beside him. Now what did Edmund hear? What was the object? The object was a heavy metallic substance and it was placed next to Edmund. And at the same moment, a cord was fastened. Fastened means tied. A cord was fastened around his feet with painful violence. What is cord? It is a wire-like substance fastened. It was tied around his feet in a very cruel, very violent way. Because the grave diggers are thinking that it is dead body and a dead person has no pain, right? So they were doing it in a very violent way. They were tying up his feet in a very violent manner. But Daintus was feeling extreme pain. Fasten means to tie, okay? The noise of the waves dashing against the rocks reached Daintus' ears distinctly as they went forward. Not only did he hear that heavy metallic object, he also heard the noise of waves because he was brought somewhere near the sea. I told you this prison, this chateau is in the Bay of Marseille. It is in southern France. It is an island prison. So he was able to hear the waves distinctly. So, which means he was able to hear the waves far away. Distinctly means far away. Alright. Bad weather, observed one of the bearers. Not a pleasant night for a dip in the sea. Now, what did one of the bearers say? One of the bearers said it's a bad weather. Why was the weather bad? Mistral. The mistral was blowing and it was extremely cold out there. The night was cold and it was a terrible weather. Why did he say this expression, not a pleasant night for a dip in the sea? As it was very cool, it is not a great idea to take a dip in the sea. He is actually talking on behalf of Daintus. As it was a cold night, they did not want to dig the grave. They did not dig the grave. What did they do? What did they think of doing? They just wanted to dump the body into the sea. So the idea of dumping into the sea is not a great idea because it is already cold and the weather is bad. They ascended 5 or 6 more steps, and then they took him, one by the head and the other by the heels, and swung him to and fro. Now they ascended few more steps. Who? The grave diggers. They took the body. One of the grave digger held Daintus by his head, and the other grave digger held him by his feet. They started swaying his body to and fro, as if we do when something we are about to throw, we swing it, right, to and fro. So they were swaying in the same manner to and fro. And what happened after that? 1, said the grave digger. 2, 3. At the same time, at the same instant, Daintus felt himself flung into the air like a wounded bird, falling with rapidity that made his blood curdle. Now, they were counting while they were 2 and 3. When they said 3, they actually threw his body in the sea. They threw his body into the sea. Flung means to throw with a great force. And when he was thrown in the sea, when he was being thrown in the sea, he felt as if he was a bird, which doesn't know how to, when a bird is wounded, it is just helpless. It doesn't know how to fly. And he felt so helpless when he was being thrown in the sea. And that rapidity, the speed with which he was thrown in the sea, made his blood curdle. It made him more afraid. He was extremely nervous. It is obvious that the feeling is obvious. When somebody throws you away, how is the feeling? Your heart beats faster, and it's horrible to imagine. Daintus had been flung into the sea and was dragged into its depths by a 36-pound shot tied to his feet. As Daintus was flung into the sea, as Daintus was thrown into the sea, what happened? He was dragged into the depths of the sea because there was a metallic object tied to his feet. They tied this object to his feet and they dumped his body into the sea. So due to the heaviness of the object, he was dragged into the depths of the sea. And surprisingly, it is not mentioned here, but it is mentioned in the novel, the actual novel. The actual novel title is The Count of Monte Cristo. The Count refers to king or someone belonging to a royal category. And this novel, like I said, the original novel is titled as The Count of Monte Cristo. It is written originally in French, and the French title of the novel is Le Comte de Monte Cristo, The Count of Monte Cristo. And who is the writer? Alexandre Dumas. This is English pronunciation, and the French pronunciation of the writer is Alexandre Dumas. Alright. So this was the story of this great person, Edmond Dantes, who is a fictional character and not a real character. Not only was he thrown in the sea, he managed to swim and get out of the sea, even though it is not mentioned in this lesson, but it is mentioned in the novel. He swims out of the sea and he is free from the prison. So yeah, that was all for today's lesson. I shall meet you in my next video. Until then, goodbye and take care.